Hi, I'm Mikhail Jackson, and I will be introducing the article, Fix Care for the Disabled. Fix Care for the Disabled is an editorial regarding Ontario's systematic failure to help desperate families who are unable to care for their loved ones with developmental disabilities. The main issue is when people with developmental disabilities are transitioning from childhood to adulthood. It leaves families finding a way to take care of them once they no longer have access to the youth resources. The author introduces a report, Nowhere to Turn, that states heartbreaking stories of families in or in the midst of crisis. In Ontario, once people with disabilities transition from a child to an adult, the support system begins to decline. Not only is this a problem for people who are in urgent care, but the system is not set up in a way to help out other families looking after somebody who is disabled. The system is challenging to all. The author states that Ontario must find a way to help families navigate the system, while figuring out how to help those in a crisis. In general, the article supports its position on the lack of care offered to people with disabilities while transitioning from childhood to adult. It also states and backs up the argument about how challenging the support system is for the disabled by including the report, Nowhere to Turn, that was presented to the Ontario government. In the end, the government has stepped up the annual budget to $2 million to go towards the support systems for disabled.
Hi, my name is Anshul Agarwal, and I will be talking about functionalist theory. According to the functionalist perspective of sociology, each aspect of society is interdependent and contributes to society's stability and functioning as a whole. In other words, society is split into multiple parts that helps contribute to the stability of the whole. A functionist would agree with this article that social institutions in Ontario are not fulfilling the needs of the disabled, and they must evolve to be able to fulfill new needs that progress with time. Ontario needs to create new institutions that will aid families who support disabled people. If all goes well, the parts of society produce order, stability, and productivity. If all does not go well, the parts of society then must adapt to recapture a new order, stability, and productivity. Due to the lack of institutions, families that must support someone who is disabled have a tighter financial budget, less social activities, and a higher unemployment rate. All of these important points will influence the multiple parts that contribute to the stability of the society.
Hi, I'm Kieran O'Keefe, and I'm going to be talking about conflict theory. Conflict theory is a theory propounded by Karl Marx that claims society is in a state of conflict due to the competition for limited resources. It holds that social order is maintained by domination and power rather than community and conformity. Those with wealth and power try to hold on to it by any means possible by suppressing the poor and powerless. Conflict theory has been used to explain a wide range of social phenomena, including wealth and poverty, wars and revolutions, and discrimination. It describes most of the fundamental developments in human history, such as democracy and civil rights, to capitalistic attempts to control the masses rather than for a desire for social order. The theory revolves around concepts of social inequality in the division of resources and focuses on the conflicts that exist between classes. This power struggle can be seen as one of the points the author of the article is trying to make. The author expresses the confusion and desperation families feel as they try to navigate their way through the system in trying to find help and resources for caring for their loved ones. From the viewpoint of this editorial, not only does the government not have enough options for care and aid, but they even make finding out your options and knowing where to look for help difficult if you did it on your own. There is a clear divide between classes as families struggle under the government's order.
Hi, my name is Emma Fracine, and I will be talking about the symbolic interactionist theory. The newspaper editorial is consistent with symbolic interactionist theory. Symbolic interactionism says that all communication is symbolic and based upon interaction and meaning. Human beings act toward things on the basis of the meanings that things have for them. These meanings arise out of social interaction. The article refers to caring for loved ones as a burden and a joy. Humans are distinct from infrahumans, lower animals, because infrahumans simply respond to their environment. i.e., a stimulus evokes a response, versus humans have the ability to interrupt that process, i.e., stimulus, then cognition, then a response. Additionally, infrahumans are unable to conceive of alternative responses to gestures. The author is attaching symbols for those who have developmental disabilities and their families. He refers to the triumphs, sacrifices, and challenges of caregiving. The underlying message is that we should care for our families versus having an animalistic response of just caring for our own needs. The social brain are components of the brain that govern social interaction. This part begins developing in early childhood and aids humans in understanding how other people think. In symbolic interactionism, this is known as the looking glass self, and refers to our ability to think about how other people will think about us. From a young age, a child learns that the symbol of his or her crying will elicit a response from their parents, not just of necessity, but also to receive their attention. From a young age, a child learns about what a family structure is and how we care for those members. G.H. Mead describes the self as taking the role of the other, or the looking glass self. Through others, we begin to develop an identity about who we are as well as empathy for others. Symbolic interactionists tend to employ more qualitative rather than quantitative methods in their research. The Ombudsman's 60 recommendations offer a proper framework on how to help families navigate the system. His recommendations are based off of qualitative research, what a family's needs and problems are versus just looking at statistics. We also see other symbols in the article. The article refers to the government and community support systems as a labyrinth that is difficult to navigate. Labyrinth. Navigate. The author effectively attached the symbol of labyrinth to describe this difficult process. A labyrinth is a complicated, irregular network of passages or paths in which it is difficult to find one's way. The author uses the symbol of navigation again to describe how families understand the caregiving system. The way forward isn't as clear. The article uses these symbols for the reader to understand how difficult the process is for families who care for people with developmental disabilities.
My name is Caitlin Dennis, and I'm discussing the critical assessment of this editorial. Unfortunately, this editorial was written in a biased way. The author portrayed Ontario's Ministry of Community and Social Services as if they are criminals, taking away from those who have developmental disabilities for their own pleasure. This is not the case. The ministry has organized resources and support systems for people with developmental disabilities that are transitioning into adults. It is just coming to light that these resources are no longer meeting all the needs of those with developmental disabilities. The ministry funds approximately 360 developmental services agencies across the province. Although, according to multiple complaints about the lack of resources, 360 services is a lot of resources being funded. The head of ministry states, "I am fully committed to working with our partners in this sector and my cabinet colleagues across the government. This suggests that they are doing their best with what resources they have." Both these quotes are taken directly from the statement sent out from Ontario's Ministry of Community and Social Services in regards to an investigation report about the crisis of adults with developmental disabilities. Both the investigation and the statement were mentioned in the editorial. The author of the editorial chose to ignore the efforts the ministry expressed in the statement and focused on everything the investigation stated the ministry was not doing, therefore making this article biased.
Hi, my name is Aaron Beauchamp, and that concludes our multimedia presentation. Thank you for watching.